Hello students, welcome. In this lecture, we will see the semiconducting materials. So materials we can classify based on the resistivity range. We have already seen the metallic materials. In this lecture, we will see semiconducting materials. Those who have resistivity from 10 to the power minus 3 to 10 to the power 4 ohm meter. The beauty of semiconductor is that you can change the conductivity as per your choice by suitably doping the intrinsic material. There are two types of materials. One is called as intrinsic semiconductors, one is called as extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are the conductor, those who are having pure elemental species or those who are without any impurity or without any doping, right? So pure material semiconductors are silicon and germanium. If we use compounds of this, we will have gallium arsenide, indium tin, cadmium sulfide, zinc telluride. The wider the electronegativity difference between these two, the wider the energy gap. There are two types of charge carrier in semiconductor. One is called as electrons, one is called as holes. So the concept of electron we already know. The concept of hole we will see here. We have a valence band as shown here. We have a conduction band as shown here. So for conduction process, the electron should go from valence band to the conduction band, right? So here electron has been excited and it has crossed from valence band to the conduction band. So now it left a cavity behind. That cavity we call as hole. So hole generally have a positive charge and these are the cavity by electrons. Electrons will have a negative charge and they are present in a conduction band. They have to go to the conduction band for conduction to occur. Hole to remain in the valence band for conduction to occur. So we'll see how the conduction takes place in intrinsic semiconductors. Whenever we don't apply any electric field, there is no movement at all. As soon as we apply the electric field, there is a generation of hole and electron pair. So if electron is not there, that we call as a hole. So it will form in a pair. So this is the positive charge, this is negative charge. So electron will go from this side to this side, hole will go from this side to this side. That has been shown here. If you want to find out the conductivity of a semiconductor, we have to use here mobility of both electron as well as hole. So that is given by sigma is equal to Ne mu E plus Pe mu H. Here N is number of electrons per meter cube, P is number of holes per meter cube, mu E is the mobility of electron and mu H is the mobility of hole. But for intrinsic semiconductors, this number of electrons or number of holes are always equal. Remember this, for intrinsic semiconductor, number of electron and number of hole are always equal. So we can write N is equal to P is equal to Ni, that is number of intrinsic charge carriers. So we can modify the sigma such that sigma is equal to Ni E in the bracket mu E plus mu H. If you measure the conductivity or the charge carrier concentration of intrinsic semiconductor, because sigma is equal to N E mu, if you measure the N or if you measure the sigma, that is the same thing. So if you measure charge carrier concentration or conductivity, it will show a proportional trend, because as the temperature increases, the number of charge carrier increases by this equation. Ni is equal to e raised to power minus Eg by kT. Here Eg is the band gap and T is the temperature. So number of charge carriers are directly proportional to the temperature. As the temperature increases, number of charge carriers available increases, and due to increase in number of charge carriers, the sigma will also increase. Remember that for intrinsic semiconductor, number of electrons are equal to number of holes at any given temperature. One thing you can observe here, the conductivity of metals and semiconductors will show opposite trend, because in metals we already have free electrons that are available for conduction. As soon as the temperature increases, the conductivity will decrease because there is a collision in between these two. In semiconductors, number of charge carriers will get generated as the temperature increases. That's why the conductivity or the charge carrier concentration will increase. So intrinsic semiconductor have very few applications owing to their trend in the conductivity. There is no stable curve. That's why we cannot use intrinsic semiconductor for practical applications. So for practical applications, you have to use extrinsic semiconductors. These are also called as impure semiconductors. Even if you add one atom per 10 to the power 12 atoms of the parent atom, that we call as extrinsic semiconductors. We can add two types of element here. First is fifth column element, phosphorus, arsenic and tin. This will give extra free electrons for conduction, and this we call as n-type semiconductor. If we add third column elements such as aluminum, germanium and indium, this will give extra hole to the parent material, and this we call as p-type material. N-type is called as negative type, p-type is called as positive type, because this will give electrons for conduction, this will give holes for conduction. In this figure you can see that we have intrinsic semiconductors. There is no charge carrier available for conduction. If we add, suppose for example phosphor, we have extra free electron here. That free electron is available for conduction. So for one phosphorus atom we have one free electron. Then due to this, the electrons number of charge carriers will increase, and that's why we call it as n-type. If we add boron for example, it will leave a hole behind. It will have some hole, and hole has positive charge. That's why we call it as a p-type semiconductor. So these are typical elements, and their ionization energy we use for doping purpose. You can observe here that this ionization energy are very less than the band gap of silicon and germanium. The band gap of silicon is around 1.1 electron volt. Germanium is around 0.7 electron volt, and whatever you are using for doping purpose, it has very less band gap as compared to this. So this will help us in a conduction process that we will see now. Suppose if you take n-type semiconductor, this is the valence band, this is the conduction band, this is the band gap between these two bands, right? This band gap, if you take silicon, is 1.1 electron volt. If you take germanium, is 0.7 electron volt. For simplicity, it is used 1 eV here. This is for just for understanding. So what is the n-type semiconductor? That if we add lot of electrons, they will be available for conduction process. So here we add a foreign impurity that will make a energy level here. This we call as donor level, because this will donate electron to the conduction band and your conduction process takes place. For this donor level, the ionization energy is only 0.01 eV, or very less as compared to the band gap of your material. So this ionization energy is the energy required to promote electron from donor level to the conduction band. So here, as soon as we apply some kind of voltage or temperature, these electrons from the donor level will jump to the conduction band, and that's how your conduction process takes place. Here you have to remember that number of electrons is not equal to number of holes, because we have added extra electrons. So those are the majority charge carriers, and number of holes are here very small. Now if we take an example of p-type semiconductor, if we add impurity that will make energy level near to the valence band, that we call as acceptor level. This will accept electron from the valence band. That's why it's called as acceptor level. Again here also the ionization energy is very less than the band gap. That's why you need very less energy for conduction. So at 0K, these holes are bound to the dopant atom. As the temperature increases, this hole will get thermal energy, and those are available for conduction. So if the electron from the valence band will go to the acceptor level, a hole from acceptor level will come to the valence band, and we can say that the conduction has taken place. So here in the p-type semiconductor, holes are the majority charge carriers and electrons are in a minority, and number of electrons is not equal to number of holes in p-type semiconductor also. Now if you measure the temperature versus conductivity or temperature versus charge carrier concentration for extrinsic semiconductor, it is different than the intrinsic semiconductor. For example, for intrinsic the trend look like this, that is exponentially increases. For extrinsic the trend is little bit different. So here you can see, or you can observe one thing, that in this region, this is a flat region, and if you want to make your device to operate in any condition, for example chilling condition or hot weather, your device will operate smoothly or without any change in the current characteristics, because here charge carrier concentration is constant or uniform. That's why we use extrinsic semiconductor for practical applications whenever current is needed. So you can see here there are three types of curve or three types of region. First is called as freeze out region till this point. In the freeze out region, the electrons will not have sufficient energy to break the parent atom, and they will be in very less quantity as compared to the high temperature. So they are freeze there, that's why it's called as freeze out region. Second region we call as exhaustive region or called as extrinsic region. This is also called as exhaustive region or extrinsic region, because here whatever impurities we have added, those impurity will take part in a conduction, and those are always available for conduction process. In the third stage, this we call as intrinsic level, because here it will behave like an intrinsic semiconductor and the electrons from your parent material will take part in a conduction process.